In 1994, the U.S. military started to adopt the M4 carbine, which is the same as the M16A2, but in a more compact version. And the M4 was a trademark of Colt. In fact, Colt is the one that's been supplying the U.S. military from 1994 to 2009 with these M4 rifles. You know, there are a lot of questions that I receive about what is an M4. Is that an M4 that you have, that you're shooting? An M4 is a select fire weapon. It's a semi-automatic, and then it can switch to a 3-round burst. Now, the M4A1 goes from semi-automatic to full automatic. Most of your troops are handling the M4 rifle, but special ops and some other special purpose units have the M4A1. Now, I'm going to use an AR-15 to talk about the M4 rifle. A lot of times they're called the M-forgeries, these AR-15 lookalikes. This is a Bushmaster. It has a 16-inch barrel and, of course, the collapsible stock. The biggest difference between this and an M4 is that the M4s have a 14.5-inch barrel, which civilians, without having an NFA tax stamp, can have no less than a 16-inch barrel. So this has just about an 1.5 inch longer barrel, and then you have your 4-position collapsible stock on the back, and then also with the flat top. And many Knights Armament accessory rails for the replacement to the handguards are also on the M4 rifles. But these rifles are very light, and they're much more compact than the M16A2. Now, the M16A2 is semi-automatic and 3-round burst, just like the M4. Now, some of the advantages that you'll see immediately, of course, is this stock collapses down very nicely. You know, the Picatinny rail allows for a lot of different accessories. I mean, you can put scopes, optics, night vision, lasers. You know, there's suppressors, not necessarily on the Picatinny rail, of course, but bipods, grenade launchers, even the M26 shotgun attachment that goes to the bottom. So there are a lot of different options. This one does have, let's see, it does not have any kind of sight on the back, but it does have a front sight. But what they're finding is, in the field, that optics are starting to rule the day. If you have a fixed sight weapon and you're going against some kind of optic, you're going to be in trouble. And of course, here is the Trijicon ACOG, which I have a review on this specific scope. In fact, I was on Nightline with this scope, as many of you know, the infamous video, the Jesus scopes. But this is an incredible scope, and the military has put this to good use. It is a 4-power dedicated. EOTech makes a great red dot sight, and of course Aimpoint also. This is something that I'm getting ready to review, and many of you know that I'm moving right now, and this is the Leatherwood Hilux CMR, which is close medium range 1x4 lighted reticle scope. And you know, I'm moving, and I had my rings, and I've got to unpack them. So anyway, I cannot wait to get this scope. In fact, I'm going to be taking this one out to Utah to a Nut and Fancy project coming up next month. So you'll be seeing this, hopefully shooting much more earlier. In fact, next week I'm hoping to take this out and try it out. But now the M4 replaced the M3 45 ACP submachine gun, carrying these type weapons, and they wanted to have something with caliber commonality. So this shoots the 5.56 just like the M16A2 or the 223. It'll also shoot. So the caliber was what the Army had been using for many years already. And the big thing was, and this has a lot to do with small arms doctrine, is that most engagements happen between 100 and 150 meters. Most of your small arms engagements. So these stand up to the M16A2 up to about 300 meters, and then you start losing some ballistics that you get with the longer barrel on the M16. Conflict was a lot closer typically. They decided to start adopting this weapon because it was very maneuverable, it was lightweight, so it really made sense to go with this type rifle. for longer engagements, they have special purpose weapons to to handle those type situations. So why not use this gun? And it's 80% compatible with the M16, which also makes it really easy, an easy transition into the military.
Now, one of the things I'd like to address is the reliability issue. In a recent survey with U.S. military forces, 90% of soldiers surveyed said they had full confidence in the M4 M16A2 battle system. There were a lot of concerns especially from civilian markets, who the reputation back in Vietnam, where there were a lot of reliability issues. And then, of course, with the new rifles, especially civilians, the tolerances have been lessened a little bit to keep them from having these malfunctions. Now, I want to tell you a little something about my personal rifle, and this one in particular. I have, on purpose, not cleaned this after shooting many. In fact, I've probably put about 2,000 rounds through this gun without any cleaning, any major cleaning. I have kept the debris down and wiped it down and things like that. But as far as really scrubbing out the barrel and the chamber and doing all those maintenance things on purpose, I have kept this rifle dirty just to see how the functioning goes. And I have never, not one time, have had a jam with this rifle. I have other AR-15 rifles that I do keep clean. But this one is specifically for, I just want to find out for myself. You know, there's a lot of back and forth about the AK-47 system versus the AR or the M16, and I have never found any problems. One of the keys, though, is to keep it clean, as far as not dirty, not in the sand. I know the guys in the Middle East with the soldiers, you know, there could be some issues for sure, and they need to keep those rifles clean. Also, in the military, you know, the rifles do get dirty just being, you know, in the dust and everything else. But magazines are a key element. And you need to make sure that you keep your magazine, a good quality magazine, such as this P-Mag or a Thermomold mag, or, you know, good surplus mags, especially with green followers or the different more advanced magazine systems. And you will have a really good experience with a M-Forgery or whatever else you want to call this rifle as the AR-15. They did a test called the dust test, and just recently, and they shot 60,000 rounds of ammunition through the M4 system, through the H&K, had 2 offers that they used, and the FN. While the M4 came up with the least reliable of the 4, it came up with 98% function rate. That means 98% of the rounds functioned without a hitch. I think that's pretty good, especially when you're shooting that many rounds, and I think it was through 6 rifles. So it was like 10,000 rounds through each rifle in a dust situation where it was simulated. Now, this is the semi-automatic version. It's actually a Bushmaster, like I've stated, but again, it's just a great rifle. If you pick up one of these lightweight rifles, you'll love it.
Now, a couple of the pros and cons between the M4 and the M16A2. One of the things, of course, and we've already mentioned, is it's very compact, it's lightweight, and so it's very maneuverable. But one of the things that is a complaint is it's a little louder report. Also, are the muzzle velocity, a little better accuracy with the M16 after about 300 meters. You know, there were some downs and some pluses, but the M4 has really proven itself on the battlefield in the past few years and continues to be very popular. In fact, the U.S. Marine Corps has just issued all of their officers, all the way up to Lieutenant Colonel, the M4 to replace the Beretta M9 sidearm. So, because the Marine doctrine is that every Marine is a rifleman. So they're carrying these because they're lightweight and easy to handle. Now, in the dust test, one of the things that really became evident to the U.S. military was that magazines were 25% of any malfunction problems. And, you know, so that's one of the things they're going to try to start doing, is developing a magazine that's even more reliable. So
on your AR-15 M4 you need to make sure that you are using really good magazines. I use a lot of surplus magazines, and they function very well. Never had any problems with the ones I've had. This is a PMag, which is a great system, very reliable. They even have them with the windows on them. One of the things I thought was kind of neat was they're going to have a counter, an electronic counter on the magazine, so that you can keep up with your rounds. You want to make sure that your magazines are in good shape, because that can really be the difference between firing a good day of shooting and a miserable day of malfunctions. The M4 is really proving itself in the Middle East and in other areas of the world, being used by a large number of countries all over the world, not just in the U.S. You know, one of the things too, a lot of people are going with the foregrip here on the front. Also, this detachable carry handle goes right here, just screws right down, goes back to the old classic M16 styling. You can take it off to put your optics on. It does give you a backup for your sights, which could be important if you have a malfunction with your optic. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more fun gun reviews and sensible survival. God bless America. Long live the Republic.